Hello, I'm going for a hike, and this is Reviews and Info. Today, we're talking about Swarm of the Century, continuing my journey through My Little Pony in the approximate order that I saw the episodes in, not the order they aired in. We go to Swarm of the Century. The episode begins when Fluttershy finds a strange, cute animal in the wild. She takes it in to show her friends, and along the way it breeds, allowing each of her friends to have one. Every pony is in love with them except for Pinkie, who knows exactly what they are, and knows that they're nothing but trouble. For reasons that are unexplained, Pinkie Pie knows what the parasprites are, what their habits are, how much trouble they can be, and how to tame them to solve the problem later. However, poor communication skills between both Pinkie and her friends cause a lot of confusion and a breakdown in communications that stretches the story out into what is quite a hilarious predicament for the ponies to get into. On the other plot, Ponyville's preparing for a visit from Celestia, for reasons that they don't clearly explain, but the important thing is that she's visiting. They put up decorations and dress up Rainbow Dash in a ridiculous get-up, among some of the other guides that are thrown into the preparations for the visit from Celestia. Twilight goes to check up on Rarity and Rainbow Dash, and once again the parasprites have bread, and each of her friends gets one. And Pinkie Pie is still apparently randomly acting on some kind of unrelated fetch quest as she gathers up musical instruments for good reasons that she once again fails to explain. This creates a sense of mystery as to exactly why she's doing this, and catches our interest long enough to want to find out exactly what's running through her mind, other than Pinkie Pie being Pinkie Pie. In the meantime, things are about to get interesting for the rest of the characters. The next day, the parasprites in each pony that has taken them as a pet have multiplied into ginormous numbers in just a short amount of time. And now what was once cute is running amok and going completely crazy in many hilarious ways. This is where the episode really hits it for people like myself who started out as Star Trek fans, because the trouble we're getting with the parasprites is reminiscent of the popular Star Trek episode, The Trouble with Tribbles. Parasprites are like tribbles, and in the words of Dr. McCoy, they're born pregnant, which seems to be quite the time saver. The same plot of creatures multiplying into large numbers and causing havoc for other characters and setting up humorous situations also happens in the real Ghostbusters animated series, as well as in the movie Gremlins, and perhaps a number of other places that I can't quite think of at the moment. The parasprite invasion is taking an idea that's been done before and putting a My Little Pony twist on it. Each pony deals with the parasprites in her own way. Twilight and Spite rounding them up, Rainbow Dash getting them covered all over her body in various humorous poses, and Rarity actually training them to be civilized and help with her shop, and actually not minding the situation that she's in, until they do something gross and disgusting that freaks her out and makes her instantly change her mind. While over at Fluttershy's they've grown into quite a flood. Now, it's at this early point in the episode that Applejack and Rainbow Dash both have logical ways of rounding up the parasprites and saving the day. The plot wants Pinkie Pie's method to be the method that saves Ponyville, and drives home the message. So each time we have to find a reason why rounding up the parasprites through other methods fails. Applejack's idea of doing a calamari damashi style ball and rolling the parasprites into the forest would have actually worked perfectly fine if Fluttershy hadn't messed up the day by keeping one of the parasprites and allowing it to breed like crazy. And Rainbow Dash's tornado idea would have also worked if it hadn't been for Pinkie Pie and her symbols getting in the way at the last minute. But in both cases, we see Pinkie Pie still on her musical instrument fetch quest and getting in the way of the ponies' attempt to handle the situation themselves. Once both attempts have been ruined, Twilight takes one more stab at trying to save the day by using magic to change the parasprite's dietary habits. This, however, backfires, and it's not the last time one of Twilight's spells is going to mess up her attempts to save the day. You'd think that she would have learned her lesson by the time we get to Bats, but that's another story. With Twilight's spell backfired, the parasprites have moved from tribbles to gremlins and are now eating the entire town. With Princess Celestia's visit only moments away, Twilight Sparkle goes into panic mode and orders the town rebuilt just a few feet over in the other direction. This is when Pinkie Pie comes in with her one-pony band to hypnotize the parasprites with music and lead them into the forest. Celestia, who, after having ruled Equestria for 1,000 years or more, still has no idea what parasprites are, and perceives the entire event as a parade in her honor. So Twilight's reputation is spared when Celestia breaks the news to her that she has to be off to Philadelphia to deal with a ironically similar invasion in that city. This episode raises a couple of questions, like how did Pinkie Pie know what to do? Why did Celestia not know what parasprites were? Why did Zatora know what parasprites were, but offer no aid? And why was another parasprite invasion happening in Philadelphia at the same time? It also raises the question if parasprites can multiply so rapidly in such large numbers, what keeps their population in check, and how is it that no pony else has seen them previous to this date, other than Pinkie Pie and Zatora possibly? Now, while we may never know the answers to these questions, and some of the logic of the communication breakdowns is a writing issue, the episode overall was rather enjoyable. If you like episodes like Star Trek's Trouble with Tribbles, or a movie like Gremlins, or even another episode of another TV series that's a little more obscure that also did this same plot, then you're going to like the parasprite invasion every time you see it. It's a fun journey to my catching up on the series. And so far at this point in my viewing of My Little Pony, there's nothing sticking out to help guide the continuity of the episode, so I honestly have no idea what order these stories are really supposed to play out in. And Swarm of the Century is definitely an episode you can put anywhere in the first 3 seasons and still have it make perfect sense. Now, there will be callbacks to the parasprites in a future episode, but we'll get there later. For now, what we're seeing here is an episode that was enjoyable enough to make me keep watching the series. My next experience in my Little Pony journey was the episode Bab's Seed. However, I may do other videos that may or may not be related to my pony journey in the future. But Bab's Seed will be the next one in the Pony Journey series. Until then, Thank you for watching, and good night.